Welcome to Tambellini Group's Women in Technology Spotlight Series. In these brief interviews, we showcase the career paths, perspectives, and accomplishments of the remarkable women leading technology strategy in higher education. Today, we are lucky to be joined by Alison Robinson, who serves as AVP of Information Technology and Deputy CIO at California Polytechnic State University in San Luis Obispo. Welcome, Alison.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you today. And before we dive into talking about your work, I wanted to kick things off just by asking you about what you wanted to be when you grew up and why.
Someday I hope I know the answer to that question. I'm Gen X, so grade school was late 70s, middle school very early 80s, and so I would say what I wanted to be when I grew up was probably very traditional teaching, nurse kind of careers. The interesting thing was in fourth grade, I was introduced to my first computer because we had someone donate a computer to every classroom in our school, just one. Remember the very first thing that you did, you give it your month and day and year of birth, and it told you day of the week. It was just flashing green cursor. But clearly that had an impression on me and might have been formative for later in my life.
That's great hearing the magic of that. I can remember reading that there would be phones that I could put in my pocket when I grew up in my elementary school textbook. And that reality. But so let's now bridge the gap from that time where we were all living in that what we know of as technology use area to today. And can you tell us a little bit about your educational journey and career pathway that led you to your current role?
Yeah, it's interesting because I mentioned the computer that I had early experience with, and how but there wasn't a computer career to know of at that point in time. So yeah, I went to college. I got my undergraduate degree in kinesiology. Really enjoyed that. Worked at Campus Rec, but when I reflected on what I did and why I enjoyed it, I realized how much time I spent actually in instruction of some sort. And so I had decided to go on for a post-baccalaureate certification in teaching, and I needed to pick a minor. And so I was looking around at what the options were, and that's the first time computer science was actually something that was a choice. And I thought, that seems interesting to me. And I looked at different choices there. Should I do math? Should I do science? It was going to be a STEM minor, but I decided to do the computer science one because another consistent thing in my experience had been I was always the one that would help people with computers. So I decided to do the 405 minor. Was lucky because I was post-baccalaureate. I could do my minor completely applied towards a graduate degree. So when I finished my teaching certification, I had 2 or 3 courses left to finish my master's degree in computer science. So I have to say it wasn't a master plan. It's an opportunity, and you decide to go this way or that, and that's what actually led me into a combination of teaching and computer science.
Great. And so in your current role, can you tell us what a week in the life is like for Alison Robinson as Deputy CIO?
A week in the life never looks like the week before, right? There is such a variety of things that I do, especially when you're in the enterprise IT organization on a big campus, a STEM campus. I was in a meeting earlier this week picking out a design, build, construction partner for a remodel on the library. Because our libraries are so tech intensive, we actually have a seat in this decision to make sure that the library will take us into the future where we need to go, which we know is going to be a highly connected and digital future. It's our first week of class last week, so there was a lot around the startup, things needed in the classroom, or the network saturation, new wireless connectivity. It's just never the same thing twice, and that's really what I like about the job.
Well, I'm also wondering, as you talk about what you like about the job, if you can share with us a recent project or an accomplishment in your role that has been particularly satisfying for you, if it's been a milestone you've reached or something that you've seen come to fruition on campus.
So we're on campus looking at a secure, stable, modern technical environment. And there's been many facets to that, moving from our on-prem data center to the AWS cloud, modernizing some of our enterprise tools, and it was also centralizing our IT organization into one group. And so that centralization is something that I want to talk about, because that really impacted people's lives. When you're working out of college and now you're going to work to a whole new group, you're someone who works in IT and new people are going to be welcomed in. And I just have to say that everyone across campus, I mean, people make the difference. And so I'm just really proud of the team, how they've come together, and how the people that work for me welcomed new people in. The people that came in are just grabbing onto things and learning and growing. And we have, I think a lot of universities are struggling with vacancies right now. And we certainly have had we had some early retirement options with COVID and reducing salary. And so we've had some vacancies, and the way people have stepped up and come together and done things, it's just truly impressive. And shout out to the team. They've done a great job.
That's wonderful to hear, that camaraderie that's built and the amount of impact that you can have seem to be what you find most gratifying about the work. And now have a bit of a more fun question for you. So if there were an omnipotent genie to come along and be able to tell you one thing about the future direction of higher education, in technology, what question would you want them to answer for you?
So I would like to know the impact of COVID on education, and putting us remote for 18 months, and still some extent of it. What was that, a blip on the radar, or are we changing? And so if you could show me, if we're changing, if you could show me what that looks like in 10 years, I'd really like to get a jump on getting there. But I really I would want to know how has this changed us? Is it temporary, or are there some lasting implications to what we're doing? That would help me a lot in my current job.
Yes, I think that would help a lot of people in their current role as well, including me. Um, so in closing, could you share with us the best piece of advice that you've been given about having a leadership role in technology in higher education?
I was having a conversation with a colleague, and I actually think the discussion was far more around things that were going on in her personal life, but it was the sphere of influence. What can you control? What do you influence? And what do you have out of your control? And that conversation and that mental model has meant a lot to me in my career. Because you get in a situation and it feels frustrating, and I step back and I ask myself, can I control this? Can I influence this? Or is this just out of my control? And when you understand your relationship to the situation, truly reflect, no, I can't control this, and say, so I won't control this, you can decrease the frustration in your life incredibly. The other part of that is, okay, let's say I can control it or I can influence. Is this something I want to control or influence right now? So pick what you're going to do. Make sure that they're the right thing at the right time. Once had a CIO saying, slow down. Sometimes time just gives you what you need, right? So that's kind of why I reflect on, yeah, even if I can, should I right now? That was some great advice from him as well. So really, really reflecting, can I control this? Can I influence this? Do I need to let this go because I can't do either? Really helps you focus in on those things that are valuable and that you can make a difference. That's been the best advice for me.
I like that. That's very Zen-like.
Yeah,
Um, well,
please.
thank you.
It's taken me a long time to get there. I didn't come out just a very Zen person.
I'm sure it's easier said than done. We're all works in progress, but um, thank you so much for sharing your story and insights with us today, Allison.
Thank you, Elizabeth.